Hello everyone, how are we all doing? I'm Mark Suxford and welcome to my podcast, People Behind Brands. Brought to you by Making Websites Better. In each episode, I'm joined by an inspirational guest to hear more about their life lessons and how it's shaped them into who they are today. To never miss an episode, subscribe to exclusive content now and follow us on our social media platforms. People Behind Brands, life lessons from the world of business.
Had a good life and I know I've been charmed, but I was very shook when I lost my dad, definitely. And I think, none of us saw that one coming for sure.
Today I welcome Jo Coldwell, the manager of independent bookstore Redline Books, based in the heart of Colchester City Centre. Jo is a family member on my fiancée's side, so I'm delighted to welcome her on today's episode to share her life lessons growing up in the East End of London to living in Britain's oldest recorded city today. With a bubbly personality, incredible work ethic and bundles of energy, Jo talks to us about her career that has involved making tea for Boy George to sharing a bed with Radio 2 DJ Gary Davies. During this episode, we also touch upon Jo's personal stories involving the unexpected loss of her father, which hit hard, to capturing the hearts and minds of book readers for a well-renowned Appetite book club that attracts people from all over the country. So sit back, relax and enjoy a lady channeling her passion.
You just come back from a festival, is that right?
Yeah, there's a lot of festivals to be had and I try and do about 2 or 3 a year.
Yeah. So are these book festivals, music festivals? What sort of festival is it?
They're not. They're predominantly music festivals, but I find myself gravitating to the weirder tents as I get older. It'll be the poetry tent. Not the poetry is weird, but there'll be the spoken word tent or the people just doing really ridiculous things in a tent, that kind of thing. So yeah, I go for the music, but I don't listen to the music when I'm there.
Yeah. Well, no, thanks very much for joining. So Jo is the leading lady of independent bookstore Redline Books, based in Colchester City Centre. Jo is also the brains behind a popular book group, Appetite Book Club, where people travel from far and wide to attend. So despite not being a reader myself, I've bought books from Jo over the years, as she's always on hand to recommend titles for my fiancée Brogan, who is also Jo's niece. So you could say Jo is like a family.
So, love that.
A classic thing about Jo is that if you're ever stuck for something to do on Christmas Eve, Jo's house is the place to be, full of people, laughter, and on odd occasion, a live singer. So I think last year, I came away with a belly full of beer and a bottle of shampoo, ironically. So that was always good.
Well done. You got the remit because it's beers, bubbly and baubles. So
yeah,
you came away with 2 out of the 3.
Yeah. So we'll be talking about personal and professional aspects of Jo's life throughout the episode. So let's start off, Jo, with your passion for books. So what do you think it is about books that you love?
It's a really good question, and it is one that I get asked, and people think it is about the books, but it's actually about the stories. I know that sounds like a strange thing. I'm a bookseller, so I love books, but people often say to me, oh, does an Audible book count? Does a magazine count? Does a podcast count? I think they all count. I mean, today we are talking stories. I love stories because I love people.
Yeah. What sort of books do you like? Do you like non-fiction, fiction books? What's your sort of go-to?
Well, I love it when you said I was the brains behind the book club, because I'll take that. If only I read non-fiction, I'd have far more brains. But as it turns out, I like make-believe. I read fiction, make-believe.
Yeah. So Redline Books has become the cornerstone of Colchester over the years. So what do you think makes the shop so popular, and why do you think people keep coming back to buy those types of books?
Well, we've got staying power. I mean, we've been there since 1978, and since I've been in Colchester 20 years, we've all seen shops come and go, and I think it's really reassuring to see a shop like Redline Books still being there. And we get people coming in. It's really lovely, actually, saying that, oh, my parents used to bring me here, my grandparents brought me here. So it's almost become a legacy shop now. And I would have said that up until 5 years ago, but just recently, I think that we're getting younger people coming in. So why do they come? I would like to think it's because of our beautifully curated books and the customer service. I mean, we love seeing people.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is customer service. Because going into the store, there's sort of new and kind of existing customers that come in, and I think it is the customer service, because you're always having a chat with them and making sure they got the right book and all that sort of stuff. So I think that's great. But in terms of the store itself, obviously you kind of have order signings. You've got kind of orders that you can get out quickly to people as well. So talk to us a little bit more about kind of the USP behind Redline Books itself.
So the USP, I will always say, is still that customer thing. It's coming in and getting that real connection. If someone's read a book and we've read a book and we all get excited, we've all read the book, and then I love it when you see customers recommending to other customers. It's sort of a place to find like-minded people. So that is always the USP. But I think also the fact that we do this overnight ordering service is not maybe something we even shout about much. I mean, we close on a Sunday because we have to read at some point, so it doesn't happen then. But pretty much if you come in up until 5 p.m. on any other day, we can have the book there the next day. And I do think that is quite an incredible thing. I'm not a massive advocate for fast. So although we do that, I'm still saying to people, what's the rush? Slow down, slow down. There's something rather beautiful about waiting for stuff. We have people sometimes coming in, they're desperate. They'll come in at 4:45 and say, oh, I need a book about lorry driving in the Himalayas on a Tuesday. It's so niche. And then when I go, oh, I could have it here for you tomorrow. No, it's okay. I'll look around. And I think, well, where are you going to go? I mean, we know the town, our city as it is now. And I think, where are you going to go at 4:45 to find that book? So I'm a bit of an advocate for slow living, but at the same time, that is what we do overnight.
In terms of your past career, I mean, how did you get into Redline Books, and where did that kind of journey start for you?
I have always worked for companies about this size where everything I've done makes a massive difference. So if it's a case of saving money on a stamp or running to the post office instead of walking, I've always felt very much that what I do counts, and I like that, rather than being a cog in a wheel. My first job was actually at the BBC, which is very exciting, Mark, because every Friday we got a free Radio Times. And it was sort of buzzy, but I could see that the BBC was a massive institution and I was a cog in a wheel. You wouldn't believe it, but I was studying accountancy.
Really?
And I remember one of my lunch breaks going out to just a random sort of job agency where you could in those days just walk in, and I just said, I'm really bored. Can you get me something else? And they went, well, funny enough, there's a record company and they're looking for someone. What can you do? And I was like, well, I'm not qualified in accounts, but I will do anything, whether that's making the tea, running this, doing that. And I started out in the music industry, which was brilliant for 10 years. I absolutely loved it, but it was always owned by independent people. And yeah, again, whatever I did, I felt like made a difference.
Yeah. So obviously working for a record company, you must have had some sort of claims to fame in your time.
Well, I did make Boy George a couple once, which was quite an exciting one. I mean, the whole period was really buzzy. We used to go down to Cannes, which is, everyone's heard of the Cannes Film Festival. Yeah. But every year they have the equivalent for the music industry. And I mean, it was such fun. I also shared a bed one night with Gary Davies, who was a DJ. I think he still is actually on Radio 2. An absolute gentleman. When I say I shared a bed, it was an awards thing and everyone just dossed down in the same room. And me, him and my friend Karen, we very politely just sort of pulled up the sofa bed and got comfy for the night. So there was nothing remotely sordid about it. But yeah, it was a really fun period. I was living in London, could pretty much go to any club, any night, get any music. But independents did struggle. It was the period in the 90s where things were really exciting. The way that records kind of hit the charts wasn't the traditional way. It used to be get a play on the radio, the record would hit the charts, and then suddenly things are going into the top 10 and the kind of big people didn't understand it, and it was all because they were being played in the clubs at the weekend.
Yeah.
And something that hadn't even got a record deal, and they were called white labels. They used to cut them, like press them onto vinyl before they even had a deal, play them at the weekend, and the buzz was so exciting. And then the big companies like Sony, EMI, blah, 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 they all started to get wind of it and tried to buy out all the indies. And that's what really we should have done. But we were indies. We were like one of the last dance indies. And it didn't bode well for us. We did end up going bust, which was a real shame. But I had fun out of it.
Yeah. And it's kind of led you into, what you're doing now, which is, a bit of a blessing, I suppose. So, over the years, you could say, reading has become cool again, if you like, especially during the lockdown years where there's been something of a renaissance with kind of going to your local bookstore again. But with the ability to buy books online, as I mentioned earlier, like with the Amazon sort of model, what can sometimes be a cheaper price as well. But why would you encourage people to visit an independent bookstore such as yourself?
Yeah, so I feel like my record industry and my book thing are sort of, there's similar parallels there, because there was a time when I had a load of vinyl and I gave it all away. Just gave it all away. I really thought CDs were the future, and I would not do that again.
Yeah.
Really regretted it. And you realise vinyl comes back because it's warmer, and you can get a relationship with the record covers and the sleeves, and they came back. Basically, vinyl is back in fashion, and it's the same with books. They definitely came back because there is a tactile feel about them. You know where you are when you're reading it. You can lend it to your friend. By the way, if you ever buy a book on Kindle, you don't actually own it for life. You can't give that to your children.
Yeah.
But my children do not want to inherit all my books. They keep telling me that. But swings and roundabouts. But there is something about a real book, and I think definitely young people are seeing that and feeling it. And they like the whole aesthetic of it. Going into a bookshop is a really good feel. We've been told with us in Colchester, it's a safe space for LGBTQ plus community. It's a friendly place for new people moving to the town. It's a familiar place for older people. I truly believe a bookshop is the better place to go. And what do you save on Amazon? I don't even know. I just 50p, I don't know.
Yeah.
A paperback is £8.99, and you get so much pleasure from that. And don't forget human connection. We all felt that in the lockdown. To be able to go into your local place and have a conversation, priceless, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So I mean, the store itself, going back to that, is on the high street in Colchester City Centre, obviously. But does it sadden you to sort of see the recession and how the shops have sort of come and gone from the high street? And do you think that affects your own trade with less people coming into the city centre now?
So first of all, I'm an optimist. And secondly, I'm never scared of change. I really don't fear change, and I don't really fear competition either. I actually think both of them are quite natural things. So I don't sit there going, oh, do you remember when, or what if? Yes, we've lost Debenhams and Woolworths and massive shops since I've lived here.
Yeah.
But then we're getting all these little cute places. They're all coming back. So I think it's a bit cyclical. I think you get the big giants, and then when they fall and crumble, I mean, it's ironic really that those big guys, those huge giants that did also go online, but we're still here. 1978, Man's Music is still next to us. Music and books.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think it's a testament to obviously those businesses themselves, because they are developing on their USP, like the customer service that you mentioned. So that's why people will keep coming back. But yeah, I think we talk about the community aspect of things anyway. But you haven't always been in Colchester, as you're an East End London girl. So you've also lived in Ingatestone, if I'm not mistaken, and obviously, you've met your husband Philip over that time as well. So, perhaps sort of take us back to that time in your life and why you settled in Colchester as well.
Well, it was cheap, that's why. But I will be more romantic in my answer. So my family are all from the East End, and that's where I was born, but only for 6 months. And like a lot of East Enders, they moved out to Essex. South Londoners moved to Kent. We all moved to Essex. Although my dad did trace our family tree, and I think it was about 9 generations are all from the same road in Shoreditch. So I'm actually quite inbred, I would imagine. But the aspiration was always to move out to Essex. And I was really lucky. I lived in a beautiful village which had 3 good schools and a train station, and it was always close enough to kind of get to London. So I grew up very much, my grandparents were still in Hackney and Bow, and very much wanted to be in London. And so once I was old enough, I did go and move to London, and I loved living in London, and I would have stayed there, but you can't afford it. Well, I certainly could not afford it. So coming out, we were looking everywhere. We kind of considered pretty much, all the home counties. Brighton was appealing, but there was the commute and the same price houses.
Yeah.
And then your lovely mother-in-law to be
yeah.
is my husband's sister. So she was obviously sending us sort of more properties, I think. So the chances of us ending up here was probably greater. And I mean, gosh, our house was quite cheap, really. But at the time, it was so over budget. Our budget was 100 grand and it was 125. And we were like, what the actual? But yeah, we really loved Colchester. I moved here not really knowing anyone other than one couple and your mother-in-law, my lovely sister-in-law. And it felt really exciting. And we kept saying to our friends, oh, come and see us from London. We're right next to the sea, Clacton-on-Sea. Come and see us, come and see us. And they loved coming out, and we still went there a lot.
Yeah. So I don't know if this was around the sort of time you were in London, but I mentioned earlier that you've also got your popular book group, which is Appetite Book Club. So where obviously people come far and wide to attend those. So, sources tell me, obviously Brogan, that it originated being found in a restaurant with the same name. So is there any kind of truth in that?
That is the truth. I mean, it's a funny name, and it was named after my friend's cafe, which was Appetite. And it took me quite a few years to realise that the Appetite Book Club is the brilliant acronym of ABC. And again, I'd love to say that I was the brains behind that, but that was a massive coincidence. Same as actually a lot of things. A lot of the times I pick books. So we have 10 books a year. We've been going since 2007. And so often, I mean, more often than it to be just a coincidence, we'll go, oh, you picked a book that won the Booker Prize. Oh, you picked a book that's been made into a film this month. And it's just pure luck, luck. But my 2 friends, they were city boys. They had never worked. Well, they had worked in a restaurant, but they'd never owned anything like that. And they set up a restaurant, and to kind of get people into the restaurant, I said, oh, I'll start a book club. Ha, ha, ha. 1 year later, both of those boys met the women that they would then have children with. They have both divorced now, but they both, within a year, they had impregnated women, and I had the book club. So it's all good. A lot of good came out of that. And for me, a lot of friendships and connections. The book club started with about 30 people. And now the mailing list, I've had to actually chop it down because MailChimp are being weird with me. But MailChimp wanted to be under 500. So I've had to chop it down. And that's fine, because a lot of people are on that list and will never come. They just want to know what we're reading. Some are on that list and have moved away. But we've had births, deaths, marriages. It's been a lovely, lovely thing, and a billion amazing books.
Yeah, so I mean, talk to us about some of those people that have attended your book club, because as I say, these are people that have come far and wide. It's not just locally, like you're actually getting this group together. So talk to us about that group.
So it did just start from that restaurant, and then it sort of carried on, and I kind of decided that I wanted to support a local bookshop, which was Red Lion Books. So it's all come around how I now work for them and manage it. But at the time, I went into the bookshop and said, oh, I've started a book club and I really want to support locals. So could I just have 30 books and I'll try and sell them for you tonight? And I think Peter, who's the owner, looked at me like I was a bit mad, like, and why? And I went, oh, no reason. And do you want anything for it? No. And I really didn't. I just liked that idea of doing it. So and I have said this story before, but the very first time I did it, I was walking around with my box of books, big glass of red wine that spilt in the box. Now, I don't know if you've ever smelt wet books, but it is the most revolting smell. So then I was going around to people I didn't know saying, would you now like to buy, please, will you buy, please, will you buy some soiled books, and I sold every one, which was quite exciting. So I went back to Peter and explained what had happened. He went, "Oh, it wouldn't have mattered. That would have been, oh, you know, well done, thank you. But now I'm a bookseller, I know every penny counts, and that would have mattered.
Yeah.
30 books down the drain would have been horrible."
Yeah, yeah.
But what that did is those people almost tied themselves into the next month. And there's some people, I'm sure, that they've sort of probably considered leaving, but 15 years later they're like, "Oh damn, I bought the book last month, I might as well come."
Yeah. So in terms of the club itself, where can people find it, and when is it?
So it is the organisation of it. I have got off like completely off to a T by now. So you have to book your place 1 week before, because it involves a 2-course supper. And there was a time when people would go direct to the venue, and I'd get checks and postal orders. And I mean, you probably don't even know what a postal order is. I mean, crikey. It was a kind of funny period, but now I've absolutely got it off to a T. People pay me the week before, and I pay the venue, and it's all very simple. And once you've paid, I think out of respect to the venue, that's it. You've lost your money if you can't go. Up until that time, it's the money's with me, so I can happily give it back. But I think the venues have been amazing to us. We now use 3 different venues, and they completely block that area out for us once a month. And we have a 2-course supper and a glass of wine. One is at the Church Street Tavern, who have been amazing to us. And the newer place is the Colchester Garrisons Club, the Officers Club.
Yeah.
Also, just lovely people. And then now Daytime Book Club, that goes through Redline Books. So if you want to book daytime, you go through the shop. If you want to go evening, you come to me. And really, people have always just appeared. I don't advertise it. I don't push it. There's not a website. There's a bit of a crappy WordPress out there that's never updated. But it's sort of word of mouth, actually. And yeah, people come from Chelmsford. They come from Ipswich. They come from the sort of other little villages, which is lovely. And I always try and match people up so they can live share and all the rest of it.
Yeah, well, it sounds like, just going back to obviously Redline Books as it is, I mean, you know, your book club is similar, that, you know, people are coming for the kind of the personal experience and actually wanting to make friends and all that sort of stuff, rather than, it's not just about reading a book, it's about the whole, you know, kind of experience of it all. So it's quite, again, a testament to you for that. But, you know, as we sit here on a Monday evening, you know, normally returning from a long day at work, you know, so while your role is your passion, you know, it also involves a lot of hours and drives. So how much of an impact does that have on other areas of your life, such as family time?
Oh, that is the $1 million question. I love what I do so much. I wake up in the morning, and I know that you speak to lots of other businesses, so I know other people will relate to this. It's not my actual business, but it is my baby, it's my love, it's my passion. So the first thing I do when I wake up is I check emails, I prepare something for social media. Didn't realize that would be so important. It kind of is. And people tell us, "Oh, I bought this because I come in because I've seen it on Instagram," whatever. The shop hours are 9 to 5, but my hours are probably, I mean, I'm sort of embarrassed to say, because I know if my kids are listening, they'll double whatever I say. I work all the time. All the time. I've just been to a festival. Every time I went to the loo, I took my phone with me to check things. I work on a Saturday, which obviously has an impact. But I have got quite a lot of energy. So it's not like I work 10 hours and then come home and sleep. I work 10 hours and I'm quite happy to go out. And yeah. You can see on here that I'm feeling a bit cagey around this question. I would work all day and all night and never ever be bored of it. It's just really lucky that I like my family and my friends, because when they call me, then I go there as well. Otherwise I'd just do it all the time.
So our podcast is founded upon honesty, mental health, and how testing times have impacted, good or bad, on a personal but also professional level as well. So away from business, can you tell us about a challenging time in your life that made you who you are today?
I think I've led a really charmed life, and I'm sort of somehow very aware of that, because my parents grew up in, you know, quite a lot of poverty, really, and they really did put that on us, that and they were only children as well. They were constantly saying, "You're so lucky to have a sibling, and you're so lucky to live in a house." I mean, yeah, it's another podcast to talk about my parents, I guess, but I definitely, you can tell children that, and you can say there are people starving, blah blah blah. But I think I saw it a bit as well. So I definitely know I've had a good life, and I know I've been charmed. But I was very shook when I lost my dad, definitely. And I think, none of us saw that one coming for sure, because he was really healthy and he was quite young and he was a party person and all the rest of it. So that definitely shook all of us. And it happened so quickly. It went from there to there. And it was a really hard time, because I remember saying to my daughter, who you obviously know, Mark, who is Brogan's cousin, I remember going, yeah, he'll be fine. He'll be fine. And I truly meant that. And 6 weeks later, which is very much my dad and probably the best thing, but it definitely shook all of us. And then it was also unfortunate that Phil was out of work at the time. And I just remember my dad, there was two things he wanted to do. One was sell his car, because he kind of knew, and he wanted to sell his car and sort it out for my mum. And he wanted to know Phil was all right. And I know it was a massive worry for him. And it was a difficult time. I mean, we really did have quite, me and Phil had quite a difficult time financially, and it's only because of a few lucky things that kept us going, really. One is that we rented our house, half of our house out, so we were very lucky. And I just remember when my dad died, looking at him thinking, oh Dad, it's all right, or you don't have to worry anymore. And it's such a funny, it was actually quite a beautiful thing. And it made me realise that all those things we worry about, we don't have to worry.
No.
So although it was a difficult time, I feel very, very grown up since that's happened. More than when I passed my driving test, more than when I got my first job, more than when I got drunk. All of those things, you think you're a grown up, but it really was a little bit like looking behind the curtain, Wizard of Oz. And I was like, oh, right, I am actually a real grown up now.
Yeah. Do you think like I know you're very close with your family, obviously today, but also with your parents. So do you think it was a bit of a daddy's girl in that sort of sense?
Yeah. I mean, my sister will fight me for that role, I reckon.
Yeah.
Because she worked in the city. She's sort of more grown up in more of a drinking culture, and my dad loved to drink. So she would probably fight me for that role. But oh my gosh, my dad would, yeah, he absolutely would do anything for me, my sister and my mum. So yeah, it was tough, definitely. But as I have said to my sister, as I say to my kids, I'm half of him.
Yeah.
So, I truly believe people stay on this earth for as long as you talk about them, remember them, and kind of respect what they taught you.
Yeah.
So that it's not all bad, definitely. And the only reason you grieve someone, the only reason grief hurts so much is because you had them.
Yeah.
So I'd take that every time.
Yeah, definitely. I think you can always look back on fond memories now, and give their legacy life as well in a way. But yeah, I mean, I ask many of my guests this question, as I'm always interested to hear their kind of individual response. But personally or professionally, would you say that you have any regrets?
Nah, I don't actually believe in that as an emotion. There's a couple of emotions that haven't really touched me much in life. One is jealousy. I've never had that. And weirdly, the only time I vaguely had it was a weird boyfriend that I didn't even like. And I remember looking in a bin for a phone number and thinking, what is this about? This must be the thing that people talk about.
Yeah.
And because I didn't even really like him, I know absolutely it's the weirdest emotion. So jealousy and regret are not two. I sometimes regret things that I haven't done, but I've never regretted anything I've done. Never, because I mean, I like a drink, but I've never been so drunk that I've made a bad decision.
Yeah.
No regret. But there were a couple of things along the way. So along the way, I was offered to run a record company, run a record studio, go into a business with someone, do this, do that. And I'm definitely not a risk taker. So all of those times I said no. And in a way, I went for the easy option. But am I a really happy, balanced person? Yes. So I think I probably did make the right decision, I think,
Yeah.
on balance.
Yeah, I think there's lots of situations in life where you have like sort of sliding door moments, but it's what it is today and how that's kind of led you, because that sliding door moment has led you to where you are today, I suppose, isn't it? So
Yeah. And
there's good things to take from it. So during some downtime, you're also keen on your yoga.
yes.
So tell us a little bit more about this hobby, as I believe you're trained to be a yoga teacher. Is that right?
Yes, which makes me giggle every time. I mean, that's another time when I feel quite grown up, because I did not intend to be a teacher. My teacher, who is Heidi at Lotus Love Lotus Yoga, Lotus Love Yoga, we'll get it right, but she is the most incredible teacher. I've always done yoga, which, given that I've got such a monkey mind, is quite an odd choice of pastime, but it's actually the kind of person like me who needs it. I get people saying, oh, I couldn't do yoga, it's too boring. It's like, you need it. Oh, I couldn't do yoga because I'm not flexible. And I'm like, that's like saying you can't have a bath because you're too grubby. Yoga really is, and I know Brogan does it as well, but yoga is for everybody. And I'd always done it, but it's only when I found Heidi in Castle Park in Colchester, who was doing something random, that I signed up with her, and I feel like I met my real teacher. And she really encouraged me to do the teacher training course. And I was like, well, I love learning, I love reading, I love yoga. Yeah, I'll do it, and I'll deepen my own practice. I could not sound more like a yoga teacher when I say that, deepen my practice. And I say it with a bit of irony, because I was like, yeah, I'll deepen my practice. I'll read the books. I'll do the thing. And then lockdown happened. So I actually did it over lockdown for half of it, which was a crazy time for all of us. But I'd log in, I'd wave on Zoom, and we did lots of learning. And again, I still didn't think I'd teach. And then my teacher went to Costa Rica, and she said, you must do my class. And I said, no, Heidi, I can't teach your class. I can't even do your class. You're amazing. And she went, you've got this. You can do it. You can do it. And I said, well, all right, I'll do your class, but in half the time, or I'll do your class, but not as difficult. And she said, no, you do it or you don't. And she's so focused. And we had a big discussion, and we both decided maybe it wasn't right. But she said, there's one slot available in Colchester that is opposite where you work at the shop. It's as the shop finishes, and it's just an hour long. You have got this, and you are going to do it. And then I thought, do you know what? I'm not really practicing much at the moment. And if she goes off, I'll never do it. So if I commit to teaching, if I commit to anything, I always do it for other people, not myself. So I thought, well, if I commit to teach other people, then I've got to do my own yoga. So I'll do it. And now I absolutely love it. I only do that one class. It's very unique to me, I suppose, and the people who come to me. There's one person, and she won't mind me saying it, but most of the lessons she just stands either scratching her head or lying down. And still she comes. And I always say she's the most yogi person in the room. We've got other people who are super fit, and they come. And between us, it's not just me. There's some magic that happens in that room. They are such gorgeous yogis, and they really get that yoga is just about doing something on the mat for an hour.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. I love it.
So I think there's benefits, not just from a physical point of view, but also mentally, isn't it? So how do you feel that sort of benefits you as a person?
So I am, as I just said, monkey mind. All the tabs are open all of the time. And I tried to do yoga in the lockdown with my teacher. She was in Costa Rica, and I'd log on, and I could tell you the things I did in lockdown. So I managed to cut a fringe in. I completed the Rubik's Cube twice. I did a crossword. I found all sorts under my bed. And that I realized that wasn't for me. I love my yoga, but for me, I have to do it with others. I have to practice in a room where I'm not allowed. I can't be distracted. It's so good. I mean, I love a longer class. And when I go to Heidi, it's a longer class. An hour and a half, I am trapped. Can't look at my phone. Can't sort of look under my mat. I've just got to concentrate on being in the moment. And it is a yogi thing, but it's so good for your brain to just let everything else go. I love it. I cannot recommend it enough.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people out there that have that kind of release, and it sounds that's what it is. It's that kind of release from, the day job, family time, whatever it might be, good or bad. It's just that release I think everyone needs. I've got that with kind of football in a way, so I get what you're saying. But with so much going on in your life right now, what would you say is your purpose, your why in life, and your big plans for the future?
Oh, my purpose is just to keep on going, I think. I have another friend who is always looking at what your purpose is. She says, once you've got your values, her name's Gal Berry and she does coaching, but she is saying to people, write down your values. And once you've got your values, and yours could be different to mine, then you can align everything you do in your life to that and everything falls into place, and very much about purpose. But when you got a monkey mind, that doesn't work. Mine is just to keep on going. And my nana had this brilliant expression that I use all the time. And the expression is sleep when you're dead. And then she used to follow it up by, and you're a long time dead. And I absolutely love that. So I suppose my purpose is just keep doing what feels right.
Yeah.
I think I'm quite an intuitive person. When I was 18, I had a jacket potato van. And I loved planning it. It was called Dinner Jackets, which is so 80s and cheesy.
Very nice, yeah.
Absolutely loved it. Did it with a boyfriend, which was a mistake, but looking back. But we had loads of fun. We got the colour, we got the van, we took it out. Well, I only went out in it 3 times. And so I'm impulsive, but I'm instinctive. I instinctively knew I didn't want to be the boyfriend. I then realized he'd only done the business to kind of cement something. And it was like, no, I don't want to be in a van. At the time, there were lots of documentaries about burger wars.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, I'm not the person. I'm a reader. I'm a lover. I'm not a fighter. I don't want to be fighting some man up the M25 about a burger. And then we sold it.
Yeah.
But that kind of shows me that, or taught me quite young, that I am instinctive. And I think my instincts are right. So while I'm instinctively loving the bookshop and yoga, I just want to keep going.
Yeah.
So that's my purpose. Be happy.
Yeah, definitely. I completely agree with that. So for listeners who are keen readers, I have to end on this question. So a little top trump edition on the podcast this evening, if you like. So if I had to ask you, what are your top 3 books of all time? What would you say they are and why?
I would say, oh, Mark, don't ask that question. It's a rotten question. And it is like asking who your favourite babies are or something. So it's usually the book I'm reading, same as the food I'm eating is normally my favourite food. So the book I've just read, and I interviewed the author, and I have to mention it, is it was part of the Essex Book Festival, and they asked our book club to choose an author from an African country. So I chose Abi Dare, who lives in London but is from Nigeria, and she wrote a book called The Girl with the Louding Voice, and it is phenomenal. It's so brilliant. I'm so pleased I picked that one. I'm so pleased I met the author. I'm so pleased I read that book. And running a book club, there's about 80 of us each month who read the same book, and it's always mixed, but everybody loved this apart from one person, which I love Olga for not loving it, because that makes a good book club, right?
Yeah.
But it's a brilliant book. Have I got time to talk about 2 more?
Well, yeah, that's a question. I need 2 more answers from you.
Okay, so the next one I have to say is All the Light You Cannot See, because it's based in France and I read it in France. So there's something about that. I also read it between my dad dying and my dad's funeral.
Yeah.
So there was something really kind of weird about this period of time. I had 5 days. I was going to France anyway, and it was the right thing. I went there, had time to think about dad's funeral. And all I could see in this book, there are so many references to dads and daughters. Other people may read it and not see that. What it's actually about is when good people do bad things and bad people do good things. There's a young boy who's Nazi Germany, and there's a young French girl, and you see their lives collide. It is brilliant. And don't trust me because it won the Pulitzer Award. But I just loved being in France because it's set in the wartime, and it really reminded me that, yeah, we got bombed in Britain. Yeah, it was pretty bad in London. But we didn't have people walking through our streets.
Yeah.
And I sat in that French village while my family went off doing something sporty. And I read the book thinking, wow, they actually walked through here with their boots. It must have been terrifying. And yeah, I really do recommend that one. It's a brilliant book. There are so many others, but the one that I know lots of our bookies loved is a book called The Gentleman in Moscow.
I've heard of that book. Obviously, I haven't read it, but I've heard of that book, I think.
Could it be on your bookshelf? Has Brogan got it?
She probably has. She's got all of the books, I think. Every book that's ever been made, I think she's got.
And I do love that one, so I may have even got it for her. But it's actually very much, I mean, I don't like gendering books, and I don't like saying how old books should be for children. But there is something that appeals to men about this book, because the Count, who is the gentleman in Moscow, he's a count, is post-revolution Russia, and he's been told, like, you know, you're an aristocrat, you've got to leave Russia, we're communist. But they quite like him, so they say, oh, you can just live in a hotel for the next 400 pages. And the book is stuck in a hotel room, but he's such a cool character, and I think you may like it.
So thank you so much for your time this evening. It's been an absolute pleasure to sit down with you and just have a general chat and cover some areas we probably wouldn't normally discuss in a normal setting, really. So thank you for your time with that. But perhaps you could tell everyone where they can find Redline Books to start off with, but also where they might be able to find Appetite Book Club.
Appetite Book Club is the more elusive one, because, as I say, there's not really a website, but anybody can email me and I can send them the information, which is appetite.book.club. So that's an ABC thing, appetite.book.club@gmail.com. Or just pop in and see me at Redline Books if you're in Colchester. Redline Books do have a website, which we actually had to build during the lockdown. We still like to see people, but that is there, and that does talk about the daytime book club. So that is all lowercase, redlinebooks.co.uk.
Excellent. Thank you again, Jo. Make sure you join us next time for a brand new guest for more life lessons from the world of business. Jo Coldwell, everybody.
So that's it for this episode of People Behind Brands. If you like what you heard today, do yourself a favour, subscribe to our exclusive content now, and follow us on our social media when you search People Behind Brands podcast or at podcast PBB. Join us next time for a brand new guest as we explore more life lessons from the world of business. We'll see you soon. Ta-da!